Welcome back to another episode of Guns 101. I'm Mitch, your host, and today we're going to talk about the other PPK. This is the Mauser-made HSC pistol, and it's chambered in 32 ACP, and you'll notice it looks just like a PPK, except for this one was made by Mauser. So these were in production through most of the 30s until, I want to say, the late 40s. I could be wrong on that. In fact, I'll correct that and put that on the screen. But Mauser was put in charge of, well, we need to make our version of the PPK because the PPK was so popular that everyone had one. James Bond uses the PPK. And they used it for ever and ever and ever, and Mauser kind of got left behind. But they did try to make it. So they basically copied it. So let's take in for a closer look and see how this one works. All right, so here's a closer look at the Mauser HSC pistol. This is a later production one, you can tell, because the screw right here on a earlier one is down here, and this one's up here. So these were made even after World War II, and you can tell by this marking right here. So that looks like a little German eagle with where the swastika is, there's actually an S. And what that is it's the Navy proof, what the Navy was using to proof mark these, because these were used in service to some degree towards the end of the war because, well, they were fighting a war on two fronts and they needed everything they could possibly find. But also after the fact, after the war, these were produced under French occupation still because never got the military contracts that Walter did. They did, however, get pretty decent sales on the civilian market. Now we have a little latch down here, and this is chambered in 32 ACP. So to put that in perspective, this is a 9mm, this is a 32. So it's a really small caliber, but for concealed carry it's perfect. Now it's got a hammer right here. You'll notice it locks back because there's no slide in there. So if I crank this back, there's no mag release. You just take your loaded mag, and I'll put it like this so you know there's nothing in there. And that is how you load this gun. Now it does have what looks like a safety right here, and that's exactly what it is. But unlike a Walter PPK, you can decock it. So if I flick this, you'll notice the hammer doesn't move. And I pull the trigger, it's still safety, but it doesn't decock. Whereas if we take a P38, this is a Walter design, P38, I want to say this one was produced 1942, 1943. So if I cock the hammer back, but if I do the safety on this one, it decocks. And this is what the PPK does, the Walter PPK. And the HCS used to do that until, even though the war is going on, I want to say it was like 41, 42, Walter sued them and said, hey, your pistol's basically copying us, stop copying us. So they changed it to where it doesn't do that anymore. But yeah, this is a closer look at the HCS. When I do a shooting video, I'll do a shooting and disassembly video. I'm going to do that when COVID stops closing everything. So when the gun range is open back up and I can go and shoot comfortably, I'll do a fun little video with this. I'd like to get a Walter PPK and maybe compare them with disassembly and everything. So that's this gun. Really interesting history right here. And I hope you enjoyed it. That's a closer look at the Mauser HSC pistol. I like to think of it as an alternate universe of the Mauser. This is what James Bond would use in an alternate universe. It's really fun to think about. These are getting harder and harder to find, like every gun I talk about on here. And that's because the internet's, everyone's an expert. They're really hard to get. If you're looking for one, check auction sites, like maybe Rock Island or Gun Broker. You might be able to find some. They're going anywhere between $600 and $1,500 depending on what year they were made and the condition and all that. Please like, subscribe, and share. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers by my birthday, so if you can just, which is in December, if you can just get on there, make a Google account. If you got a Gmail account, great. Subscribe to the channel, like, share everything. That's the best thing you can do to help this channel grow at this point. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you down the road.